thank you so much, Bisola, for joining me. It's been a pleasure since I met you. We met a few weeks ago at a phenomenal AI event. And then we went to another event the other day and we got mixed up as being sisters, which was fun. But I see it. I do see it. I do see the
Do you
confusion.
know what?
Um,
Now I see it.
yeah, I couldn't see it. And I looked back at those photos and I was just like, yeah, okay, I get
Yeah, I can see how. And now I see it. Yeah.
it. Yeah, so thank you so much. It was great connecting with you, and I love how you present yourself and you present the story of your business and what you offer. And what I'd really love to sort of uncover in this conversation is about you and your business and what you do, but also who is the Bisola behind the business, right? Like what led you to this point through your career, your personal life that got you where you are today, and what is the vision that you see for your future. So let's just start with tell us more about who you are and what it is that you do.
Okay. You know what? It's interesting because it's actually a really good question to really ask about who am I as a person behind the business. Because in entrepreneurship, anyways, you find that the business is ever evolving. You have an hypothesis of what it is that you're doing, and then you realize that your clients don't actually follow your hypothesis, or you find clients from very many different places. And so, yeah,
Mm,
the one thing that is constant is who you are as a person.
hmm
Um, and so, oh, where do we go? How far do we go? But um, I call myself, I've always called myself like a bridge between the technology and business. And the reason
Mm,
why is because my background, even academically speaking, I studied business and IT or commercial science and management of information systems. I studied in Belgium, and we do
mhm.
long studies and do lots of different subjects. In comparison to England, I do not know why we do like 17 subjects in university. It's ridiculous. But I've actually found that it has helped me in my career
Mm,
because I started in IT operations, then moved to marketing analytics side. Well, I moved to marketing, but then digital marketing and then the
mhm.
analytics side of marketing. And so I've always dealt with data. I've always done a lot of, okay, what are we doing as a company in terms of marketing? What's the data telling us? And how can we use the data to inform our decisions?
Mm,
Basically, that's what it is. I mean, people will tell you about data science and all of these kind of things, but it really is not really about the numbers. Ultimately, what you're trying to do is get the information from the large data sets and see how can I make sense of it? How can I create hypotheses,
mm,
and how can I make sure that the users are doing what I want them to do? Like people have
mm.
funnels. Are people actually coming to your funnel? Are people doing the next step that you want them
Right.
to do? Are they wasting your time? Are you wasting your time and your advertising dollars, right? And so
Hmm.
essentially that's my background, analyzing the data and translating it really into something that makes sense for the actionable next step.
Mm.
And so
No, that's really interesting that you said that actually, and you triggered the question for me. Like, data is important. Obviously, that's what helps inform the decisions. But from your experience, what have you seen with the blend of actual human behavior? You can have the data, but then there's the people behind it and our unpredictability for how we are. Like, how does that inform what you do as well?
yeah, I think they're unpredictable. This is why we say always be testing. Always be
Mm.
testing. You can have those assumptions. You could say, I think my customer is going to do this. Then no, they're not. So always test.
Yeah.
You need to always test. And you need to put yourself in a position as a business to be ready to test and also to meet your customers where they are at.
Mm.
And the reason why I say that is because, for example, I do voice AI, which is implementing voice AI systems. And then people say, well, my customers, don't want to speak to a robot. Well, maybe, but when they're calling you, they want you to pick up the phone.
Mm. Yeah.
And then if you're not picking up the phone, what are your customers doing? They might just be going to the next person, the competitors. And so your
Hmm.
job as a business is to be there when the customer wants you, and however the
Mm.
customer wants you as well. And so, and the however the customer wants you, I sound like a preacher, but however the customer however the customer wants you, meaning you can't say I only do my business on LinkedIn, for example.
Mm.
Your customers might be on Instagram.
Mhm.
Um, you won't know until you test. That's why, again, always be testing. And so now I've forgotten the question that you asked.
No, no, but this is really, it's led to a really, really good point, because I think of myself as a customer. There was a point where we were moving house. I needed to get a quote. I wanted to know what vans were going, how quickly I could get there, what days they could do, how much they would charge. And I tell you, I put my number, my name number into this site. Within 30 seconds, I got a call on the phone on my WhatsApp. I had a conversation. They walked me through how it works, and they had the message to me with the full quote within literally 10 minutes of that. And then
Brilliant.
literally days later, I was getting other of the companies reaching out to me, right? Because I was a lead. The lead is dead. Like 3 days later, even 1 hour later, your lead is gone. They were going to whoever
Exactly.
responds quickest. So that is
Exactly.
like a really important point you made. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
what else do you think, especially I would say smaller businesses, right? Because voice AI has been a thing. And I've got your book, excellent,
Yes.
phenomenal book. I love how it like really simplifies the that area of the business. But for bigger businesses, they're used to all of this stuff. They have
Yeah.
access to this technology and have done. For the smaller businesses where actually those leaking leads cost more to them, like what would you say to them?
I think that I would say, um, I want to say, wake up and smell the coffee. But but actually, the professional way of saying that is, I think that every business needs to educate themselves on the possibilities that are available to them. And
Hmm.
almost like you need to challenge your previous assumptions because technology is so quick. Things that were inaccessible 5 years ago, even things that were inaccessible 2 years ago, today are accessible for everyone at a
Mm,
fraction of the price. And so you can't make assumptions that I am a small business, so therefore I can't afford this, or I'm a small business, so therefore I cannot implement this system or that system. Chat GPT, nobody should use chat GPT, but I'm using it as an example. As an example, you can get pro chat GPT for £20 a month. Same thing for
mhm,
Gemini, things like that. And so I think you owe it to your business
mhm,
to spend some time to educate yourself on the possibilities. Forget about adopting AI or all any kind of stuff, but just educate yourself on what's possible for your business because technology is moving so quickly
mhm.
that unless you get on board, you will be left behind. And
Yeah.
it's not. There's a famous quote in the AI world that says, you will not be replaced by AI. You'll be replaced by somebody that uses AI.
Yeah.
And same thing for businesses and jobs, right?
Mhm,
Your job is not going to be replaced by AI. It's going to be replaced by somebody who uses AI. Same thing for businesses. Your business will not be replaced by AI, but it will be replaced by businesses who are heavily leveraged with AI.
mhm.
AI
Yeah.
gives you the manpower, the
It
horsepower
does.
of hundreds. I could be a
Mhm,
one-person company that has got the manpower of hundred-fold people thanks
yeah.
to
I,
AI.
it's exactly, and it's just the cost of that has reduced so dramatically that there's literally no excuses now. You can present yourself as a huge one-person business and doing what, hundreds of people used to do. Um, what would you say for the person who is lagging a bit behind, the person who may be on the verge of being left behind? What one thing would you say to them to wake them up and maybe give them one action step they could take that could move them forward just a little bit?
Um, I think that one thing I would say is history repeats itself. Just now we
Mhm,
were talking about manpower. It's a little bit like, the tractors and the horsepower. In the agricultural age, people were doing horses and carriages. Then we had the engine. And
mhm.
up to today, I don't know if today they still talk about it. 16 horsepower, 48 horsepower. It meant that this engine has the power of 16 horses. Okay, I'm not really good about cars, so the
Yeah, me
car
neither.
people would say, but the horsepower comes from that. That's what
Yeah.
it comes from.
Hmm.
And so imagine with AI, we're talking about the manpower, you
Hmm.
know, even the rubbish chat GPT will have 100 manpower. right? And and I keep trashing. Okay, by the way, don't we just talk about?
Right.
I
You
do
might
feel
just
so.
bleep out the AI,
I
not say which one
know.
it is.
Oh, I know. Everybody use something else. Gemini is better. Perplexity. There's lots of other AIs that you can use out there. Um, the problem I have with ChatGPT is because, well, no, OpenAI, if you use it on the back end, you're fine. But it forces the users, it's very difficult to decide how much, actually, the AIs work like that as well. Like the AIs, you can decide how much brain power or tokens should I use to um, deliver your request. So if you use
Mm,
Gemini, Perplexity, all the others, you
mhm.
can switch on thinking mode or pro mode. You can switch on
Yeah.
different
Hmm.
brain powers, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Hmm.
so ChatGPT used to have that, but has decommissioned it for cost saving purposes. So the only way you could force ChatGPT to think is to say, do a deep research, for example.
Mm.
Um, but then that's too much horsepower or
And
manpower.
and you know the thing is as well, I think that since AI has come in and the people that are using it quite frequently, we kind of go to these AI chatbots as if they can do everything and do everything excellently. But at the end of the day, they are one first thing, they're trained on generic data, right? What's in the internet. So garbage in, garbage out. If there's something rubbish in there, that's part of what they how they think too. And there's so much data that doesn't live live on the internet. There's people's books, there's people's courses behind paywalls. There's so much other data, what's in people's minds that is not in the AI. So if you're solely relying just on that, it does have its limitations. And, every AI has its strengths. Claude is great for coding. Um, I can't think of other examples there, to be honest, but each
Yeah,
of them has a different strength. And I think we need to
correct.
become better at that.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly to your point. So you're right. I mean, Claude is very good for coding. It's actually pretty good for writing as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I find that too.
OpenAI would have been typically, normally, very good for reasoning. So if you do have a reasoning
Mm,
task, then OpenAI is your best bet in terms of the way um, it does things. Perplexity is really good. Its AI is called Sonar AI, and it's very good as well for writing and thinking, researching as well. Um, but yes, so to your point about the advice to the businesses who want to get started,
mm,
um, I think we said, yeah, get curious, number one.
mm,
And
mhm.
then I think one of the action steps, oh, what was your question again? Now I've forgotten.
Yeah, no, that was it. Like an
Oh,
action step for someone who's overwhelmed. There's so much information. What do I do? What's the one thing they can do to move forward?
yeah, so I would say the one, funny enough, I would say that the one thing that they need to do to move forward is to look inwards in the sense of you need to look
Mm,
at your processes. Yeah. Too many people, when we're talking about technology, go straight into what's the best tool out there. There's no such
hmm
question. Same thing with the voice AI, or anything in AI. What's the best AI tool that I should be using? And what you have to do is actually look at what's my business, what are the processes that I do, what are the things that I
hmm
um what are the tasks that I do that maybe
hmm
are too repetitive and I could maybe outsource. And when you
hmm
think about outsourcing, don't even think about the AI element first. If you think about it, if I were to outsource this to a person, what are the informations that I would need to then give that
mm,
person in order for that person
hmm
to do that job right?
Yes.
Once you've got that in place, you've got your processes, you know
hmm
exactly, what it is that you're going to put into the person, the training, and then
hmm
what do I do with the output? Once you've got that, your process mapped, then you could look to AI and say, take care of this part of my process or that part
Yes.
of my process. Um, Rather than just thinking, I'm going to do one big prompt and ask it to do everything for my business.
Yes. That used to be me. That definitely used to be me. Just like get it all out of my brain.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you're so right. And I love that you said to like turn inward, because that applies to your business, right? Knowing what the inner workings of everything, how does everything connect together, and giving whoever it is, whether it's an AI or a person, the right tools to be able to do that job well. But what I liked about what you said as well, it brought me to you as a person. And with being founders of businesses, something that I've come to realize is actually there's a lot you need to do with yourself to overcome your own limiting beliefs or your own sort of blocks. So in your journey so far, transitioning from your career into now being a founder and a business owner, what have you sort of observed looking inwards for yourself?
They say, if you want to develop yourself as a person, become an entrepreneur, because I think
Yeah.
that you will be faced with yourself. You definitely would be faced with yourself. I think that I have learned a lot along the way. I think the biggest lesson that I suppose I've learned multiple lessons, but I think that there's a few things that I have learned along the way. Number one is about the assumptions. I think the biggest
Mm,
thing that I've learned for sure in this journey, especially as a tech founder,
mhm,
is to come out of yourself as a tech founder and thinking about what it thinks that you think is cool. That's something that is a mistake that we do a lot. If you're a technological
mhm.
founder, you think that your business or your idea or your tech is so fantastic. And it probably
Yeah.
is. It probably is, but
Mhm,
with unless you match it with a problem, unless you really do that product to market fit, then you could
mhm.
just be misaligned. You
Yeah.
can have the greatest tech, but unless you match it with the problem, unless you match it, then you really might find yourself in trouble. You really need to test your assumptions. And when you're a founder, especially if you're the type of founder that has left the corporate world, you have to realize that the way the corporates do their marketing or the way they handle their own business is going to be very different from the way that you were doing it, because I
Mm,
am not a multi-million pound company, not yet. And so you operate differently, and you really need to understand where you stand and how you have to operate. And you also need to know your numbers. You need to know your numbers
mm,
because some people will do uh, let's just say in terms of marketing, mass outreach. Maybe that's not what you should be doing. Maybe what you need to be doing is one-on-one,
mm.
rather than mass outreach or mass advertising. Um, and I think probably the biggest learning is that consistency, because I think
Yeah.
as a founder, you know all the things that you need to do. I have a whole list. I know exactly what I need to do to succeed. But then you're faced with that time limit. You're faced with the fact
Yeah.
that I can't wear all the hats at the same time. I can't do all the things at the same time. This is when processes help. This is when, as a founder, you should. And some people will say, "Well, I'm too busy." We always say, "Well, I'm
I'm too
too
busy to
busy."
write the processes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm too busy.
Yeah.
But you should take that time because that is a time that would really benefit your business in the long run. When you
Mm,
say, okay, I'm running my business and doing all of these things, but at the same time, I should take the time to put processes in place. And I'm not talking about like huge operational process. I'm thinking about simple things like, okay, I've got social media that I need to take care of, for example. Um, when was the last time I posted, whatever? Do you have a process in place for your posting strategy? Do you have a process in place for your outreach strategy? You really have to think about your business, even if you're a one-man operation, you need to think about all the different departments. Am I
yeah.
spending enough time in all the different departments? The sales
Mhm.
department, the operation, the customer support department, the client satisfaction department.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. You have to think about them as separate entities, and even though you're not at that stage yet, act as if you are. Create your SOPs, as if you have to train someone tomorrow, even if you don't. It's so true. And even a fellow business woman I was speaking to this week, she was speaking about her challenges with doing social media. She just really doesn't enjoy it. But she realized she got to a point where she was just like, okay, I like this bit. I'm going to do this bit and then hand this over to someone else. Because even
Okay.
forcing yourself to continue to do something that really just isn't aligned with you can take more energy from where you could be spending somewhere else. So it's important to
That's right.
identify those things. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And unless you identify them, you can't outsource it. And by the
Hmm.
way, by outsourcing, it doesn't necessarily mean outsourcing to a person. You can outsource it to a system.
Right.
And so,
Exactly.
exactly. And so, therefore, but you need to have it written down first. You need to do
Hmm.
that introspection. What are the things, all the things I have to do? And then, yeah, and then outsource it.
Yeah, and I think something you mentioned a bit before was about the problem product market fit, right? You can have an idea in your mind of what something looks like, but how much does that align with your actual customers, the actual people that you're trying to reach? And that's my background is in product management in the tech space as well, and that's something that's often missed. Like we have in our mind, let's just build out this entire business by myself in a little on my laptop in the dark. I'm gonna make my whole business and I'm gonna bring it to the world and woo! Like, but that's not the reality. Like you need to test as early as possible, get feedback as early as possible. And bringing it back to your business with the conversational intelligence and voice AI, how are you ensuring that this is solving specific problems for your customers? And what are those problems that you're helping solve?
Well, it's a really good question. And I think the obvious answer when it comes to conversational intelligence, people think usually about the AI receptionist. That's the most obvious one. Um, and that's the place where most people start with when it comes to conversational intelligence, voice AI agents. What I found is that there's so many other users, and it was only when I started speaking to people and realizing what their problems were that you can start to see, well, where else can we use this technology? Because the technology
Hmm.
is there. The technology is there. Anybody can call the voice AI agent, speak like you and I, and it can do so many different things because it's agentic, right? So you can make it do the bookings, send emails, do whatever it is that you program it to do.
Hmm.
Um, but we've created some really cool things like um, business audit agent, for example.
Ooh.
I'm working with a coach, and we released her product about 2 weeks ago, where
Hmm.
her customers usually come to her in her customer journey. They come to her, um, they tell her their issues. She usually goes through some kind of assessment with
Hmm.
them and then gives them personalized recommendation. We trained the AI with that IP, that intellectual property that she has.
Mm.
We trained the AI so that now all of her prospective clients or even existing clients, as the first step of
Hmm.
working with her, call Riri and have that
Mm.
conversation with the agent. By the time they finish that conversation, they will receive in their inbox a personalized, recommended audit
Wow.
recommendations on what they need to
Yeah.
do. And it's fantastic. When I saw the
Mm.
results, I just thought, this is fantastic. Now, mind you, I'm impressed. It's my tech, but the reason why I was so impressed is because of we used her knowledge to build this
Yes.
product. And so
Yes.
by the time we use her knowledge to build this thing, the
Hmm.
results are amazing. And so, um, now we're using it for personalized quotes,
Hmm.
things like I'm working with uh, some companies, for example, that do quotes. And so the users come to their site, instead of filling out a whole form, you can
Yeah.
have a conversation. Nobody really likes filling out huge forms. You can
I
have a
know.
natural, right? You can have a natural sounding conversation. And then after that,
Mm.
we the output is the personalized quote based on the conversation.
Wow.
And then also the good thing about that, because forms can be stupid. Forms,
Mm.
I mean, unless you do conditional forms, right? They can still ask you
Mm.
questions that are unnecessary, but the
Yeah.
agent is intelligent enough not to ask you
Mm.
things that are unnecessary based on the conversations that they've had. And so you were talking about, what's my market product fit. What I found more interesting lately is actually working with founders to create interesting products or interesting
Mm,
interactive lead magnets or interesting ways of engaging with your customer. Because at the end of the day, I mean, voice AI technology can be used at any interactive touch points with your
mhm.
customer, depending on the user journey. It doesn't always have to be the front line or the first point of contact. It could be afterwards.
Yeah.
It could be, and again, the only way you could do that is if you know exactly what your customer journey is, and then you can
Yes,
ask
you map
yourself,
it out.
you need to map it. You see, you always have to go back to the process and then
Yeah.
see where is the best use of this voice AI agent. And it may not
Mm.
be for a receptionist. Many founders don't need a receptionist because they're not service-based businesses, for example.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really like, this is the most amazing thing I think I've taken from this conversation, because you've turned something into, you know, I don't really want a reception robot to actually, it can make the experience of working with someone even more human, because the reality is we only have 24 hours in a day, and of that, a very short amount of time to interact. And, you know, this week I spoke with a coach who's like completely burnt out. She just has no more capacity for it at all, but there's so much value that she can add. And something like this, not only can it help that person get the value they need faster with that person's mind and their
Absolutely.
intellectual property, which is the thing we spoke about before, right? That's missing from a lot of generic AI.
Yeah,
Um, they get something faster, high quality. The other, original person, they have that capacity now to build more, build further, keep enriching their minds. So,
exactly.
thank you for bringing that. That was a really nice gem to take away. So thank you so much, Bisola, for your time. I'd love, before we close off, for you to share with others where they can find you, any events that you have coming up, so they can find you going forward.
I tend to do workshops. I do quite a lot of workshops. I host workshops with Enterprise Nation or the London Chambers of Commerce. The best place to find me, anyways, is on LinkedIn. That's where I put all the information. Obviously, I've got my book if you're interested.
Yes.
The New Voice of Business, exactly. Um, in this book, if you're curious about voice AI as a business, as a consultant or an implementer, everything is in it. It tells you everything about the technology, everything about the things that you have to think about before implementing voice AI, the follow up, the opportunity as well of voice AI. Um, the book, I highly recommend it. It has everything and anything that you need to know. But you can follow me on LinkedIn. That's the best place. That's where I'm most active. That's where I update everything that I do. So, yeah. Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
sure you'll be able to put it somewhere in your
Yes,
notes.
I'll put it somewhere. Yeah. Thank you, Bisola, my sister from another mister. It was lovely speaking with you, and you have a wonderful day going forward.
Thank you so
Take
much for your
care.
time. Take care. Bye bye.